I welcome you to today's edition of Christians in Politics. I have in the studio Mr. Loki Shehu, a public commentator and a politician. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
And also, I have with me Dr. Duke Igwilo, a politician, to discuss this very important issue, ministerial screening and Buhari'S Cabinet. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
And I am Smart Simon. Before we kick off with let's take a listen to what some persons have to say on the ministerial list.
You will find that people started dismissing the list even before it. Just like there are some other things Nigerians reject without knowing the meaning. So what you and I should insist on is that in our last, in the president's second term, in this next level, our party and our government at the federal, state and local government level must deliver. I'm very optimistic that these ministers coming, all of us working together, the party, the ministers belong, and the National Assembly, in which we have overwhelming majority, we have what it takes to take Nigeria to the next level. And the next level, we are going there.
Well, there is no doubt that some of the people nominated have cases with the EFCC, and for a government that is saying that they are preaching, they are fighting corruption and preaching transparency, it may not be sending the correct signals, because it will amount to double standard. I mean, why are others being prosecuted and others being appointed ministers? It doesn't set a good standard, but the president is entitled to pick his ministers. And mind you, they have not been convicted. They are still presumed innocent until the contrary is proved.
The list of people he brought out as per ministerial list, they are the same old people that he's recycling. But my own annoyance with some of the people found in this list, or in this, some of the names mentioned in this list, is the fact that if truly this government is fighting corruption, and they call themselves anti-corrupt government, they are fighting corruption, why should people who were jailed by EFCC, why should a person who was jailed in the UK and is fully known is now being given the opportunity to be a minister in our country?
Yeah, thank you so much. We want to continue our discussion now, and let me start with Dr. Duke. What is your view on the ministerial nominees who have just been confirmed, sir?
Thank you very much. Let me start with a disclosure.
All right.
I am a member of the People's Democratic Party, and we are in opposition in the current government.
Yeah.
So being the main opposition party, we feel that the ministerial nomination is forming their government. But the question has been laid out in your introduction. Why would it take a government, a sitting government, 54 days to nominate ministers, when in some other environment and some other countries it's taking 24 hours? We saw what happened in Boris Johnson, and the next day the cabinet was formed.
Exactly.
The government is continuing, and it wasn't as if the names were all new and brought from the moon. They were all APC politicians. Yeah. Why did it take 54 days to get the names to the Senate? In those days, the economy was suffering because there was uncertainty.
That's right.
The stock market went berserk again. And that I think the issue here is that in terms of the names that were submitted, my political party had a position, a clear position that has been made public. Those names should not have been submitted to the National Assembly, but to EFC.
Some of the names, right?
Most of the names. That was what the PDP position is. The names ought to have gone to EFC and not the National Assembly.
Okay. So are you now saying the issue of the fighting of corruption, which right, they are doing the opposite? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is basically that talking about the screening, the ministerial screening at the National Assembly, the ministers nominated were APC politicians. That's fine. Okay. And it's within the APC to pick who they want their ministers to be, to deliver on their mandate and their manifesto. But the question is, those ministers were being screened for fit and proper assessment to become ministers of the Federal Republic. Are they fit and proper persons? Because in terms of fit and proper test, you look at the person's personality, the person's educational records, you have the DSS and the state security agency screening, then you have also the criminality. If these people have fallen short of the, because just like one of the commentators said, they are not convicted, but they are indicted. Indictment is enough for you to fail an integrity test. Yes. So I feel that the screening of the politicians by the National Assembly is within the right of is within the right of the APC government to nominate politicians into ministerial position. It's also within the right of the National Assembly to screen the candidates, but the screening ought to have taken care of their integrity test, and most of them, as we all know, we are all Nigerians, have issues with their integrity.
All right, thank you. Mr. Loki, what will you say about this? Do you think that these ministerial nominees were just a mere compensation to party stakeholders?
Once again, I want to thank you for having me in your studio again. I really appreciate the time to be here. And to the question, I want to bring this to bear. This action is indirectly telling us where we are headed for as a country. What Buhari just did is a reputation of what happened in 2015. Maybe it took lesser time this time, but it's actually a reputation of what we've seen in the fact that there is indecision in appointing who will help.
Nobody should be surprised
with this. I'm not surprised at what has just happened. Talking about patronage of political or partisan members of the APC. Of course, that is it. I don't expect him to appoint PDP guys. He is not the Oyo State governor that appointed members of other political parties into his cabinet. We are talking about Buhari, a man who believes in the fact that he and he alone knows the best for the country. Before his election, he said, after the election, he said he's going to surprise Nigerians by appointing people he knows. In 2015, he complained about the fact that members of his cabinet are people he barely knows. And if given the second chance, he will bring in people who will help him in achieving his change agenda, taking us to the next level. As far as I'm concerned, he has failed already in doing that. Why? He is bringing in people who have been tested, and I can tell you they are not trusted. Out of the 43 members appointed so far, nominees so far, 14 were part of the previous administration.
That's right.
We have 7 senators who we know their antecedents. We have 7 former governors. All of these former governors have one case or the other with the EFCC. So it's a case of coming from a different, I mean, coming from the same angle in a different form.
Okay.
So, as far as I'm concerned, it's just food for the boys. Buhari's appointment is just a way of compensating party loyalty. Look at the appointment list. We have DG campaign organization. We have the DG media.
Yeah.
These are the people who are in the ministerial list. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's a list for party executive who are to come and administer us as ministers in the Federal Republic.
Okay, so will that be the reason why there is no technocrat were given opportunity in the cabinet, at least to come and contribute their quota, like we've seen in previous administrations, people who are not even party members, who are not politicians, but because they are experts in various fields, they are being brought into the government to help the government and make sure that things are okay, but it's lacking in this list.
Being fair, let me be fair to Buhari. In 2015, we had, I think, two or three persons who were non-partisan members of his executive.
Okay.
Of course, the Minister for State for Petroleum, yes, he was not a member. His Minister of Foreign Affairs was never a member of the party.
Yeah.
He got his membership card in 2017 or 18.
Okay.
It tells you he brought in people who were not members of the party in
Yes.
2015. That I can forgive him, and that I can give it to him. But right now, talking about technocrats, I can tell you of the 43 nominees, it's only 3 that can pass for that name, technocrats.
Like
Sharon Ipeazu, then Miriam Katagun, and Isa Pantami. Miriam was, a diplomat by training. We know what Sharon did or is still doing in pension board, and Pantami has been a very good figure of the APC regime, as far as I'm concerned, being the head of NEDA. Is that so? These are people who can pass for technocrat.
Okay.
Aside these people, we don't have any. You can't put them. You can't put his executive on the same pedestal with what was obtainable in Jonathan's regime, where we have, or should I put it PDP, where we have non-partisan people coming in to serve in the administration.
Yes.
We had the likes of Olusegun Aganga, who was not known. We know what Obasanjo did with what's her name? Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Aisha and others. Additional with Jonathan. Then Foreign Minister of Education, bring back our girls person right now.
Yes.
These are technocrats that were brought in to serve and to bring solutions to a seeming trouble in Nigeria. We don't see that in Buhari's regime.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. We have to move on. Dr. Duke, what do you have to say on the screening without portfolio? You just come to answer questions. Generally, we are not sure which ministry you're going to head. What is your opinion on that?
My opinion on the screening without portfolio is it's neither here nor there. It's about what do we want to achieve, and what system do we have in place. They are being screened for to pass the fit and proper test to be a minister of the Federal Republic. They are politicians. When they are assigned a portfolio, they have a duty to deliver on the mandate of the people. The people have voted for the APC because the APC sold their manifesto to the people.
Yeah.
And the people bought the manifesto of the APC. That is the assumption that I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Therefore, if the people believe that APC will deliver on their policies, the politicians are there to ensure that those policies of the APC are carried out according to the mandate that people have given them based on their manifesto. Therefore, the screening is for fit and proper assessment of being a minister. Now, the problem here in Nigeria is that those ministers, it doesn't matter which portfolio you are assigned to.
Yes.
You would then have, first of all, you have a ministerial think tank, then you have a technical assistants, technical advisors, special advisors, and so on, who are now experts to direct you. The ministry on its own have the bureaucrats. These are people who are there, the permanent secretaries, the directors, the managers, and the cadre of the civil service. They are supposed to be expert in their area of civil service. The minister would come as a politician with his technical assistants and advisors to help him to deliver on the mandate. But what happens here in Nigeria? You and I know. The minister's special assistant is possibly his brother-in-law. Possibly his brother-in-law. Then the special advisor will now have a special assistant to the special advisor. So you have a retinue of heads who are not adding any value at all to the ministerial position. Therefore, the argument can now be that you need a minister who knows a bit of what the ministry is about. But in all other crimes, you don't need to know what the ministry is all about to be a minister. You need to have a heart and mind of the people who have elected your government to serve them, to deliver on what the people want. Why do we have Brexit? Because Britain voted for Brexit. Even though the government at the time voted against Brexit, that's what the people want. And why did the British government lose Theresa May? Because the people want the government to deliver on Brexit. So if you appoint a minister, he's a politician. His job is to deliver on the mandate given to him. He doesn't need to be an expert in that portfolio. But I needed to add to what he was saying before, when he was talking about the APC government. This quote is very poignant. I wanted to bring it out. It was Thomas Jefferson. He said that the two enemies of the people are the criminals and the government. The two enemies of the people are the criminals and the government. Therefore, let us chain the government with the apparatus for constitution, so much so that the government will not become a legalized form of criminality. But here in Nigeria, the enemy of the people in Nigeria has continued to be the criminals who are committing crime against the people and the government.
All right, could it be the reason why, sir, a lot of them who we know have issues with the EFCC, they came to the red chamber, about 23 of these nominees, without questioning them, they were asked to take a bow and go. What will you say about a bow and go syndrome that we witness in the National Assembly? Could it be the issue of rubber stamp National Assembly, so to say, dancing to the tune of the executive? Whatever the executive has said, they just do it.
You know, being fair to the National Assembly, the issue of take a bow and go did not start with them. It has been a policy of the Senate in particular to give a soft landing for people who have been in the legislative angle, either a member of the State House of Assembly, a member of the House of Reps, or a senator himself. So it's not a thing of the 9th Assembly. It has been in practice before now. But the pathetic part of it is the fact that out of the 43 nominees, like I've said earlier, we have 7 who are senators, then we have ex-senators, then we have a member of the House of Reps, Abuja, and I think 1 or 2 former members of State House of Assembly. I don't blame them. Amechi, a speaker. Now you don't blame them for asking an Amechi and Abuja, Akume to take a bow, because it has been their policy. But is that policy right? What kind of policy is that?
Can I come in here, please?
Let me come, sir.
Okay, please land so that you can come in.
It has been part of them. Now, my concern is the fact that it became a thing of a joke when, at the point, the Senate President have to beg that a nominee from his state take a bow for not just reason. The only reason there is the fact that they are from the same state. That is just the reason. Then at the point, people were asked to take a bow and leave because of their gender. Yeah, there was this time they were asking for a female to take a bow because she is a female.
Yeah.
Now it became a thing of child's play, more of that, for you to just ask somebody who is to be given a responsibility of a minister in the Federal Republic of Nigeria to just take a bow and leave without telling Nigeria his capability, what Nigeria should expect should he start that office. Of a truth, it became a joke. Yes, if it were to be a case of 10, 12 members taking a bow, yes, I can forgive them for that because through their antecedents they've had experience. But for you to ask over 27 to take, is it 27 23 to take a bow, it makes the whole thing a thing of a joke. That's my own angle to it.
Sir, if you can add to this,
yes,
including those we know were already having issues with EFCC, and they were cleared overnight, and they were asked to take a bow and go, no questions about that.
I'm going down to the principles of these things, and that principles is nobody should take a bow and go. None.
Okay.
If we see to analyze the quote I gave about Thomas Jefferson, he was talking about the Constitution of the United States of America, which is the democracy that we are practicing.
Yes.
The issue is that he said two people are the enemy of the state, the criminals and the government. But we should change the government with a constitution, a statute book of law, so that the government does not become a legalized form of criminals.
Yes.
What happened here is that we don't have that chaining of the government with a body of law, so that it doesn't become criminality. That is the problem here. If the 7th, the 8th, the 6th Assembly, National Assembly have been given a bow and go, what is bow and go? That's the first question. How many of those registrators have the practice book, basic book of how the Legislative Assembly runs? How many of them have read them? That's one. Two, what in our constitution, what does our constitution say about screening of the ministers? If there is nothing in the constitution about screening of the ministers, then there is need, because like in the UK, the constitution is evolving every day. Their own is unwritten. They have acts of parliament. Therefore, if something should happen today that hasn't been captured in their law, they will make law for that. In the US, they have their constitution, which is written. They have the 2nd and the 3rd Amendment. That's it. But they have body of regulations and guidelines guiding them in the things that they do. And if we know as a nation that our constitution was hoisted on us, we all know that. It wasn't the constitution of the people. It was a 1999 constitution arising from the military dictatorship over so many years. There are a lot of gaps in there. Yes. This is what the government ought to be doing. Jefferson said, chain the government with constitution, bind it such a way that it does not become a criminal. But here in Nigeria, our constitution has not chained the government enough for it not to become criminal. Therefore, you can see people go into, even all these people that are charged by EFCC. Some cases have been in the EFCC since 2007. And the people who are charged have either gone to Senate twice or 3 times. Because the government is not chained enough to stop them from being criminals. Yes. The people we have in government today, I'm sorry to say it, they are not individual people that are criminals. The government in itself is a criminality because the constitution did not chain it down enough to stop it from being the enemy of the people.
Yes, at least if there are issues like if you are indicted, you should not contest. Things like that, it will help to checkmate some of these things. Anyway, we have to move on. Let me ask the younger person, what can you say on the nomination without the youth and lesser women, those 7 women? I don't think, do we have any youth in that list? We don't. No youth.
We don't. If you
so
want
what
to
will
define,
you say about not too young to run deal that has been signed? And we didn't see it play out in the list. of the...
If you want to define it according to either the United Nations, African Union, or even the Nigerian Constitution, I can tell you we don't have any in this administration.
Okay.
And actually, this is a layback to where we are coming from. I thought we were making progress. In 2003, we had a younger cabinet. We had people like Frank Nweke Jr. He was 37 then. We have Chukwuemeka Chikelu, a very young guy too then. These guys were given that opportunity to serve at that very young age. As a country, we should be moving forward. I expect a lesser or a younger person in this cabinet, but unfortunately we don't. In this cabinet, the age average is 60. 60 in a population of over 60% young age, and we are having an average of 60 in its cabinet. It's a far cry. It's something we should look at very well.
Okay.
The youngest of them is, I'm not sure who among them is the youngest. Is it Pantani or Sadia Umar? I don't know among them who is the youngest, but it's actually a disappointment.
Both of them are over 40.
They are over 40, almost in their 50s. Pantami is 47, or 47, and I think Sadia is 49 or so. Yeah. So it's a show of the fact that the signing of the Not Too Young to Run bill into law is actually something which was done to appease some people, but never to be practiced. No wonder, you remember when he signed it, he said, I'm doing this, not that you should come and wait for me to finish before you start contesting. He said it when he signed it. Yes. Okay. So truly, it's painful for us as young men to see that out of 43, none is 35. We're not asking for more. None is 35. We're not asking him to come and pick me. I don't belong to the APC. We have younger people in APC who are good. Yes, we can see it. Yeah. They have been tested to an extent, and they are doing great things. Go to the office of the vice president. We have younger guys who are doing well. If I want to mention them, I will. These guys are doing it. We expect such to come into the administration to do something to help give it a young posture. Then coming to the issue of female in the administration, like I said, it's also a backwardness for
because 35
is it 35 or 30 affirmative
35%
affirmative action. Now 7 is not 35. 7 out of 43 is not 35%. I'm not sure.
Yes.
It's really very disappointing. In as much as it's disappointing, we should also be praising Buhari because it's an improvement of what was obtainable in the past. Actually, yes, it is. Okay. If you look at his cabinet, the past administration, it's an improvement. But I think he would have done better. Yes, he would have done better.
All right. Thank you. In 30 seconds, can you say something? We need to go on a short break.
I commend the president for the appointment. Let me tell you why. Okay. Because the president is in his 70s. Yeah. You don't expect less from him. It's a kind of...
okay.
That is a hard one.
All right. Thank you so much, I must say. Let's take a quick break. We shall be back. Thank you.
Ajayi Crowther University admission has commenced. Programs on offer include undergraduate, postgraduate, part-time, HND conversion, foundation and pre-degree in faculties of law, humanities, education, natural sciences, social sciences and management sciences. Our tuition is affordable and payable in 3 installments. Visit the university website at www.acu.edu.ng for online application, screening and admission letter. Given our state-of-the-art facilities, well-equipped library, decent learning environment and distinguished lecturers, apply now by logging on to www.acu.edu.ng. For details, call 0814-592-0637. Ajayi Crowther University, raising godly intellectuals.
Viewers, you're welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. Before we continue with the discussion, let's listen to what Barrister Abraham Yisa has to say on the constitutional stand on screening of ministerial nominees without portfolio.
By the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, the executive powers of the state vest in the president, and he can exercise those executive powers by appointing ministers to various ministries. The Constitution does not state that in sending a list to the Senate for screening, he must attach portfolios. However, it will be good for the screening purpose if you know the ministry a particular minister is going. One, you will focus your questions and the screening in that direction. Does this man really have any agenda for the ministry? What does he know about that ministry? What value his appointment as minister and serving as a minister add to that? However, like I said, the Constitution did not say that the president must attach portfolio. Now, let's take a look at England. Right from when the opposition has not been elected, they have their own shadow ministers. For instance, now, in England, there's a shadow minister of foreign affairs, shadow minister, and when they win, automatically these people transform to become the ministers in these ministries. Unfortunately, we don't have that there, and we don't practice it here. So, to answer your question, the executive powers rest squarely on Mr. President. He chooses to exercise it through ministers of his own choice, and it would have been good if, when sending those names for screening, portfolios are attached so that you can know that you don't take somebody who is a labor leader and take him to the Ministry of Petroleum. Somebody who is a teacher, you take him to the Ministry of Agriculture. You see, that is where some of our challenges begin, right from the beginning, and that's the problem. But unfortunately, the law does not say he must attach, but it will be a good practice to recommend that whoever minister is sending for, you are sending for screening, for Nigerians to know that the man knows his job, for Nigerians to know that he has qualification for the job, for the Senate to direct their questions during screening. That would have been the best.
House. What is your opinion, Dr. Duke, about the ministers that has been screened by National Assembly who are not expert in various ministries? These ministers will be handling and screening without portfolio. What will you say about that? I know you've said something about that before, but we want to hear your opinion on that now. These people are not experts, and looking at our system, what do you think?
Looking at our system, I'm just listening to what Barrister Abraham Yisa said. It could have been ideal to have what you call a round peg in a round hole.
Okay.
It could have been ideal, but a situation where the ideal, just like I said before, the Constitution has not changed the government enough, you know, for the ideal to be obtainable. Just like he said as well, there was no way in our Constitution that we need to have an expert in a particular field, manning a particular area. And everywhere in the major democracies in the world, what obtains still remains that the politicians deliver on the manifesto of the party. They are supported by experts who would help them to deliver on those mandates. I don't personally have any issue with screening without portfolio.
Okay.
The screening ought to be for fitness and properness to become a minister of the Federal Republic. But the practice of democracy in Nigeria is such that because the ministers are not, they are not surrounding themselves with the necessary equipments and tools in terms of human resources that they require to deliver on their mandate, it becomes important that somebody who have a little bit of knowledge of a particular industry is assigned to that industry. For all intents and purposes, you know, we've had people who are in, and we can give examples, for instance, you know, of people who are not particularly for all that we know, Fashola is not a civil engineer or an engineer. Yes. He has handled power, housing, and what's the 3 minutes? Works, housing, and power for the last 4 years. He probably may not be the best of all the ministers in that 4 years, but he handled it very, very well. And we've had other ministers as well. Ngige is my colleague, is a medical doctor. Yeah. You know, and he did very well in the labor and the employment and productivity sector, according to the president. according to our president,
you don't agree with him, right?
I hope that he was able to handle the labor unions very well. According to the president.
Sorry, I don't know if you've seen the report by TUC when they said they don't want him to be given that position again.
That's why I said according to our president, who we know.
Okay, not according to you now.
Constitutional role to appoint his executives.
You know, in Ngige's case, I would want to say Ngige didn't perform that well. Looking at the complaints from the labor leaders, his first constituency should be the labor leaders, talking about NLC, TUC. The day his name appeared on the nomination list, TUC gave out this press release that they don't want him to be given that office for labor. It speaks loud of his performance in that is his first constituency. Now let me come back to the issue of nomination with designation of office. Yes. Of a truth, in as much as, like my elder brother here said, there are positions that should be left for party men to push the agenda of the party, regardless of their background. Yes, in Senate clients you will have that happening. But we are talking about Nigeria, where we are still evolving. We know what our problems are. I don't advise that to be. Let's have, for each nominee, a designated office attached to his name. I have these offices that I'll have to talk about. Talking about health. You don't expect a lawyer to be given a minister of health. In Nigeria, as it stands right now, there is a big issue. So you're a medical doctor. I know there is a big issue even in the health cycle where pharmacists and nurses are complaining of the fact that a pharmacist or a nurse has never been given that position, that the doctors have been taking that ministry. They've been crying. It speaks loud of what the expectation has been. We need people who have been through it to mount the leadership of the ministry. I'm a trained diplomat. I know what it takes to be a diplomat as far as I'm concerned. You don't expect a lawyer or a doctor to be given the minister for foreign affairs. Go back and look at those who have performed well in the foreign affairs ministry. You will discover that there are people who have grown from the beginning to the pinnacle of the ministry. And we have people like Hashiru. Hashiru is a career diplomat and he performed well. It speaks loud of you given a technocrat, somebody who has experience in that particular line, to take that position. You don't take a doctor and give him the minister for what they call it now, justice. You know, that is one of the major offices.
I've never seen that ministry being mounted by another person other than a lawyer.
So we need to do that. Given that and attaching that to their names, it helps, actually, it helps. And right now we are having issues with Malami. Some people still don't feel comfortable with him. He's associated with the Abacha family, you know, and Abacha, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the worst leaders, especially when it comes to accountability Nigeria has ever had. So if somebody with that background is considered for that office, you now begin to ask yourself, where are we headed for? So truly, it is very much important that we attach the name of the ministers, I mean the name of their portfolio to their names when
for
submitting
proper
for screening.
Okay, all right, thank you. Sir, looking at infrastructure, you spent 17 years in UK and you're back to Nigeria. You came back to Nigeria 4 years ago. Looking at infrastructures under this government in terms of health sector, education, road, power, agriculture, water, etc. Do you think this government have done very well in this area?
Thank you. And this is what I want to talk about.
Okay.
The infrastructural decay in Nigeria is a major minus for us as a nation. And the government after government, budget after budget, National Assembly after National Assembly, the infrastructural decay has continued to get worse and worse every day. And in the last 4 years, I'm sorry to say it, it has got more worse than ever before. We take the roads. We hear about road work going every Wednesday. We hear from the Federal Executive Council that contract has been awarded for 200 and something billion naira, and this billion naira for this and that. But these things are not manifesting out there. I traveled through Benue State to Abuja 2 days ago.
Yes.
The stretch between Adiokuta and Lokoja is a death trap. You travel from Onitsha in Anambra State to Enugu in Enugu State. It's a complete no-go.
I know that.
You travel from Enugu to Port Harcourt on the other federal road. It's an absolute no-go. You travel from Aba to Calabar in the Ekote-Ebene axis. It's a no-go. The east-west road is a no-go. Now you can see why the agitation of the Niger Delta people is very, very poignant. Because if they are the goose that is laying the golden eggs and they cannot even access their communities, what are we talking about? You go to health. What more can you say than the president spending how many months in the UK because of his own health challenges, and then his son had an autocrat and also had to be flown abroad. Now today we are talking about El Zakizaki, the child, this thing, having to fly to India.
We don't have anywhere.
We don't have anything. Now you talk about power. We were told that the privatization of NEPA would give us light. Here in Nigeria, we celebrate 4 kVA of electricity. When Ghana, just round the corner here, is producing more than 20 times that capacity.
Wow.
Then the TCN will tell us, oh, we generate electricity. Is the discos? Who created the discos? Who is fooling who here? So in terms of infrastructural issues in Nigeria, it goes beyond the most cream of government. And I feel that the government of the day, the APC government, are not doing much to solve this problem, even though that they continue to vote lots and lots of money. Buhari from day one was talking about the infrastructural problem in Nigeria. The infrastructural problem in Nigeria. The next level. What is the next level? The next level is the complete collapse of infrastructural architecture in Nigeria. The aviation ministry, the airlines, the airports are all going down. The roads are all going down. The teaching hospitals are all dead. We don't have light. What do we have here in Nigeria?
And our universities.
Our universities are collapsed completely.
Can they be mentioned among the top 1,000 universities in the world?
Not at all. I don't want to compare here with any other society, because every society will have their own specific problems.
Yeah.
If you talk about where I came from, it's a different ball game. the infrastructures, when they are laid down, have a continuous system of maintenance. Do we have maintenance culture here? Does this FEMA, Federal Road Maintenance Agency, what
I don't hear about
what
them
do they
again.
do? What do they what do they do? If you ask me what they do, they create jobs for their families and friends. They draw down money from the Federal Executive Council and the budget, and they share it among themselves. And that's why politicians will now, going back to our screening, politicians will now, in the course of their screening a minister, be asking for patronage. When you become a minister, give me a job to give to my constituents.
It's so ridiculous.
That's how bad the system is. I'm sorry to put it that way.
All right. Talking about corruption and integrity, what is your take on the new ministers, sir? Corruption, integrity.
One of the guys I look up to, said the ministerial list should have been taken to the EFCC instead of the National Assembly for screening. It speaks loud of what we have as ministers, or what we'll be having as ministers.
Okay.
If truth be told, 80% of those on that list shouldn't be there because of their antecedents. These are people who have either 1 or 2 corruption cases. Unfortunately, he is a performer, but what's his name? The former Akwa Ibom State Governor, Akpabio. Though a performer, Akpabio has been having issues with the EFCC, but on his defection to the APC, those cases ceased existing, and today he is a ministerial nominee. What happens to his corruption? Executive asset. The thief is for thieves council. They have been taken to an executive council. See them as capable hands, and at the other hand he's shouting about corruption. It makes our corruption fight a joke. It makes us a laughing stock in the Committee of Nations. You can't talk of you fighting corruption and the closest ally of yours is someone, a country like Scotland knows that he has billion in his account over there. You can't be talking about corruption when a minister of yours is somebody who a US knows that he has estates in the US with ill-gotten wealth. And you can't be speaking to these countries about fighting corruption when these people are around you. So we need to be truthful to ourselves about what we talk about when we are talking about fight against corruption. You can't be talking about fight against corruption when a sitting government in Rivers State sat down, constituted a committee, and that committee indicted Rotimi Amechi for numerous corruption cases, and you make him one of your biggest ministers. It looks so ridiculous, and the whole thing is just a charade of what the fight against corruption is. He said something about tying public official, a politician with the constitution. Of a truth, for us to have a truthful fight against corruption, the law of this country should be strengthened. The institutions of this country should be strengthened. We don't need the president ordering EFCC to go fight corruption. Once EFCC is strengthened,
president appointing EFCC chairman, so he's likely to dance to the tune of the person who appoints him.
To an extent, the president can appoint EFCC chairman, and the EFCC chairman will end up doing his bit if our institutions are strengthened. Once we strengthen our institution through the law, you don't need an order from the president for you to execute someone. I remember the EFCC president, the president saying we will order the EFCC to go up. We don't need that. Make EFCC strong. You don't need
the system.
Once the system is strong,
the system should be strong. Should be able to carry out its responsibility.
We can only make our system strong once we strengthen our laws. Let our laws be those laws that stand independently. Let it be the one that will comb the excesses of our leaders. Once our laws are once we get it right with our laws, I'm telling you, the fight against corruption will not be something we'll have to make noise about. It will just flow naturally. That is how I see it.
All right, thank you. Sir, what is your advice to the ministerial nominees in 2 minutes. What are you expecting them to do?
My expectation of the ministerial nominees is one.
Yeah, now that they have been confirmed.
Now
really.
that you are confirmed, one, have a heart. Look at the Nigerian people. Look at the situation of this country. History is looking up to you. You can still make a change. We know that in the last 4 years, President Buhari allowed the ministers to run their portfolios. So you are not going to be held back by presidential directive. You're going to be held accountable for what you do to your ministry. Whichever ministry you are posted to, all the ministries are looking for a moral leadership. Somebody who will lead with the mandate of the people. What do we want? In education, we want the best education in Nigeria. All the ministers are product of public schools. Why did we destroy the public schools? So that all of you and your wives will now set up private schools and private universities. Most of the politicians have got license to set up a private university. Most of them have license given to them by NEC, National University Commission. But they are just waiting for time and looking at the business angle of setting up a university. You destroy what created you. You talk about health. We all must die. You might think, I used to tell the politicians in Anambra State, I said, if we don't look out for the weaker link in the society, the children, the disabled, the women, the youth, they would hunt all of us. They will rise because they are in great majority.
Yeah.
The 1% that control the 99% in the Western society have the best interest of the 99% at heart, because the 99 will rise against them and kill them.
Exactly.
So have a heart. Look at your ministry. Find the need of the people. Address it.
All right. Thank you.
Let me be fast.
In a few seconds, yes.
This appointment is an opportunity to make an impact in the Nigerian project. You are being nominated or being made a minister, not for your families, not for APC, not for your cronies, but to stand in as someone who will build that bridge towards Nigerians' movement to development. Unfortunately, we as citizens also don't help matters. If you want to know the house of an individual, give him a political appointment. Let me tell you, everybody will want to know where he lives. Patronage from churches, religious bodies, either church or mosque, community, and others. These are not what they are appointed for. Their appointment is to help in developing Nigeria, to help in realizing the Nigerian project. So I want them to do this, having it in mind that there is what is called posterity. Posterity will always come after them. Whatsoever they do today will be said of them tomorrow. If they end up doing something good, people will praise them for doing that. Today, everybody sings praise of Obafemi Awolowo for giving free education. He didn't do that outside government. He did it while in government. That is the same opportunity they are having today. If they get it right, we will sing praise of their name tomorrow. If they get it wrong, I'm telling you, their children will not have a place to stay in Nigeria. So this is an opportunity for them to do something good for us. And I pray they do it, actually, in the real sense of it.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Duke. I must say, you've done very well. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for sharing your thought. Mr. Loki,
thank you very much.
A public commentator and politician. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're waiting to see you out there one day, being nominated as minister to serve. Thank you so much for coming. And what you have shared, when you have the opportunity, make sure that you make impact on that. Our viewers, we want to thank you for staying with us and for listening to our discussion. In my opinion, even though Constitution did not say that portfolio should be attached to the names of the ministers, ministerial nominees, I want to suggest that it would be good that portfolios should be attached so that while screening them, the questions will be direct. And also I want to say that the National Assembly should try as much as possible to review the issue of bow and go syndrome. Give Nigerians the opportunity to be able to listen to these ministers, to be able to interview them. Because once they are in the red chamber, they are before Nigerians. Because the red chambers, the senators are our representatives. So opportunities should be given to Nigerians to ask them questions to see what they can do before they are being appointed into that particular position. We want to thank you so much for staying with us. Until we come your way again next week on Tuesday, same time, same station. God bless you for listening. Bye from me.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and viewers and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the Anglican Cable Network Nigeria, ACNN.